And we are live. Here we go. Welcome to Epic Lunch and Learn, the show where real estate meets real talk. I'm your host, Dante Royster, mortgage broker, author, and your guide through the maze of money and markets and mortgages. Welcome, Matricia Jackson.
Hey, how are you? How are you, Dante?
I'm doing well, doing well. I put something together a little bit for you. Just we are going to be talking about building wealth through real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, it's been a great topic of mine that we've had all week long. Just
Mm-hmm.
talking about, the concepts of what to do as far as how to get an investment property, how to build and grow. There's a lot of different ways to do it. One of the examples that we shared, just the last couple days was the concept of these first-time home buyers, right? They buy a house.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't buy the building first. They bought the single family house
Mm-hmm.
and they've been living there now for maybe 5 to 10 years. And so you get to that point where of like, what is my next move?
Mm-hmm.
Especially in a situation where we look at upgrading, right? Where it's like, hey, I bought this house. I was single, ready to mingle. Now I found somebody. And now all of a sudden that I found somebody, she
Mm-hmm.
don't want to live there. She don't want to live there with me
Right.
because she don't want to be there walking the same track marks as other people that used to
Sure.
come in that house.
Sure.
And so now we have to embark on getting a new house. So
Okay.
do we A, sell that house and take the proceeds and buy a new house, a bigger home? Or
Mm-hmm.
do we kind of, scrape and manage to go get that second home and turn that first home that was primary into our first investment property?
Yeah. So first of all, what needs to happen? So they bought the home. They did not buy the 2 unit building. First they bought the home, right? So um, there's a couple of ways to look at it, and when we talk about strategy for beginning to build wealth, or scaling in your wealth journey, the good news is that they put their foot regardless in the ring, right? So they own a piece of real estate, which is the most important thing to do, right? That you can absolutely do. And then now they've earned equity,
Hmm.
so they can look at, hey, how much equity do I actually have? How much do I actually have? And what can I do with it? So they could do two things. One, they could do a HELOC, unlock some of that cash,
Hmm.
um, unlock some of that cash, and take that cash and begin their actual investment journey with that. That's one way. They're not unlocking the asset, and so they can keep the asset, take money out, right, and go purchase something different, rent that particular home out. Now they have two assets assetting. So long as the rents are, above the mortgage payment, and you can stabilize that actual mortgage, you'll be in great shape.
That's awesome. Yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, it really is a concept, similar to like the Burr method,
Yes.
of really just, because sometimes they feel like the 20% down,
Hmm.
and I know there's some new products out there where even with great credit scores, we can do 15% down on some DSCRs. So I know the excitement is there, but it's still at the end of the day, it's like, dang, how do I get 15% down?
Yeah.
When you're looking at 300,000, 400,000, it seems daunting, especially even if you're, dollar, every month I'm going to save a little bit,
Hmm.
$100, $1,000. It's still a
Hmm.
long way, that journey to get to, 15% of 300,000 is $45,000.
Sure.
So and it's hard to keep dreams, the flow going, the motivation.
Yes.
So how do you work on just the motivation? Because I think so much of it is the mindset, and so how do you stay motivated when you seem so far away?
Yeah, the best, and thank you for that. So being motivated, what's going to keep your wheels turning, keep you focused on your goals, accountability. One of the most important things is you got to be in the room with like-minded people, right? One of the things that we've done is we made sure that we hosted and currently always do monthly meetups around wealth conversations, investment conversations. That's where you don't feel like you're alone. That's where you get to learn what you don't know, and it affords the opportunity for you to not feel like, okay, I'm so far away from where I really want to go. Um, a strategy call with, when it comes to investment mindset, not all is created equal. Not all realtors are created equal. Not all lenders are created equal. You need a team, right? And sometimes you don't know who needs to be on that team. But getting involved with networking, investing events, and I'm going to say, try to avoid the ones that, I should say, will never get you to your investment goals. I've seen people pay $50,000, $30,000 for a class, which is your down payment to get to a property, and you never get there. So it's important to be in alignment with trusted individuals who have experience. I can't say that enough. Trusted individuals who have experience. And the question is, where do I find them? I am one of them. I work in the investment space. I'm a current investor myself, and I help other investors. And showing up to networking events, learning what you don't know it's just like anything else. You never stop learning, but at the same time, you will be able to implement on some things quicker without trying to figure it out on your own and do it wrong.
Yeah, no doubt. Now, you actually, and I want to make sure we hit this multiple times
Sure.
through this hour. You have a couple events coming up that I wanted to make sure that everyone's listening to. So let's bring them out now. What events do you have coming up, speaking of real estate?
Yes. So I have October the 16th through the 18th. We have an real estate investment retreat right here in Chicago, downtown Chicago, in our amazing city. And I'm saying amazing because I can't wait to dive off into why I know that it's amazing. October 16th through the 18th. It is going to be a phenomenal event with MVP players that you need to know in order to begin your investment journey or scale it, right? Begin it or scale it. And when I say MVP players, I'm talking about those who you don't know that you need to know. You need great CPAs, you need asset attorneys to make sure that you are in alignment with your LLC, and how not just to set up an LLC, but how do you protect what's in the LLC? So going beyond what you don't know. Many people don't know that, you should have a holding company that is, taking care of your LLCs. You're actually, I should say, minimizing the exposure of what you own, which is why the rich gets richer, the wealth keep getting wealthier, because protection is important. So having the proper protection, having the proper lender, capital partner who understands real estate investment. Remember, your lender is not going to hurt you, because they're going to lend to you, and they're going to make sure those matrix and those numbers are going to work for them, because they're investing with you, right? Beyond that, we have some great MVP players, and you will be establishing your investment business in real estate. Much different from many people say, hey, I'm going to buy this property, I'm going to run with it. But yeah, there's some other elements you need to know. Proper banking setup, business lines of credit that you should be using, getting away from your personal credit. All things investment will be happening October the 16th through the 18th. And you will want to be in that room.
That's awesome.
I have a QR code and all of that. So when we get a chance, I would love to be able to show it, bring it up. And I can actually send it to you, Roy, if you need. Dante, if you need me to.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, it's definitely send it to me. I'll make sure, we have a newsletter that comes out every Friday, 5 o'clock. That's always been our little, tag.
Awesome.
So
Yeah.
I will go ahead and make sure I include that in the newsletter. So
Yes.
make sure you send that to me. It's so important, to your point of real talk meets real estate. That's the whole concept of Epic Lunch and Learn, answering questions that people have. Obviously, if you have a question today about real estate, make sure you put it in the comments. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Make sure you give this a like if this is the type of information that you want to hear. And also to share it with people that are maybe on lunch right now, or they're doing brunch in California, because this really goes nationwide as far as the information that you can get today. It doesn't matter where you are. And to that point, I saw a little birdie showed me that someone got licensed in Florida.
Yes.
Man, you want to talk about it? Come on now. Let's talk about it.
Okay, fantastic. Oh, you made me blush, Dante. So I am super passionate about real estate, and I have been in the real estate arena for almost 30 years, and I still love it a lot. However, I got in, Dante, because into real estate because I was passionate about investing in real estate. That's the only reason why I got a license. Didn't know that I was going to get baptized into helping many, many people to acquire property, acquire their investment. And the love of it, of the investment aspect, was so, I'm going to say, for lack of a better word, sexy to me. And so on this journey of real estate investing, the reason why we've had meetups, and the reason why we have networking events, and that we are having the investor retreat, is because I learned of so many different aspects that you can actually cash flow property and do very well in doing so. So, when you think about your retirement or your big number that you need to live your best life, your future life, whatever it may be, you leaving legacy and all of that, I learned quickly that there was some opportunities. We've had a luxury tour that we did, and we took a group of investors to Florida. And in doing that, diving deep into the numbers of what their market looks like in terms of short-term rentals and mid-term rentals was phenomenal. So I had investors to actually buy in Florida. And when we got there in Florida, and I've been a Disney girl all my life. I love Mickey, Donald, Minnie, all of them. I just have been that person as a kid. And so when I got there and really saw, wow, these numbers are numbering, I said, you know what? I want that to be a stumping ground for me to be able to share the lucrative opportunities there for investment. So I recently got my Florida license to be able to help more people understand the Florida market. What better place than the happiest place on earth to share those opportunities with such a great community? And, it's such a growing area. There's always something popping there. Why? Because it's a tourist area. So I am thrilled, happy, excited that I am now your new Florida connection to bring you to those amazing opportunities. So after our investment retreat, we are looking to have another luxury tour. We have clients that are, they're making $8,000 to $10,000 a month. They live here in Chicago. And a lot of people may say, well, how I'm going to manage that. We could talk about that, how to manage it. There are management companies that are turnkey, that understands the hospitality business. I say short-term rental is a hospitality business, and they can do it for you. And what you do is wake up to your cash in your account, once, someone has checked out, and it goes on and on because Disney is so busy. So yeah, I love that I got my Florida license. I can't wait to get there.
That's awesome. I may have to join you down there. I'm headed down there. We're licensed in Florida. We've been licensed in Florida now for 5 years.
Okay.
And so, we have clients. We have clients in the Jacksonville area. It's that little kind of nook and cranny that doesn't get hit by the hurricanes.
Yes.
During hurricane season. So that's huge. And then obviously I'm going to go see the mouse in December with the kids. So it's their first time going to Orlando. So I'm looking forward to that.
Well, Dante, just to let you know, I took my grandkids last year. We're going back every year for Christmas. I've decided that we're going to make that our Christmas vacation. And here's the good news: is you're never going to do it all. That's how they did. One park last year. There's many more parks that you can do, and you just never ever get a chance to experience it all. But yeah, we stayed in a short-term rental there. And during that time, I'm going to warn you, Christmas is the holiday seasons are hot months. When I say hot, I'm not saying, it's very warm compared to Chicago for sure. Mm-hmm. But when I said it, I'm speaking of the traffic that they have, which is okay. It's manageable, enjoyable, and all of that. But you want to get in front of the short-term rentals, they dry up like really, really quickly because people go every year, and some people repeatedly go every year. So
what's the weather down there around Christmas time?
Yeah, so around Christmas time, it was like 80. You can swim outside. My grandkids was outside our short-term rental house. We had I think we had a 10-bedroom home that we had rented, and it was wonderful. Off of the living room, family room area, they get to go out on the sliding doors in the midst of December. We were there for Christmas. And they were able to swim right outside. Yeah.
That's good to know. Good to know. I mean, Florida provides a lot of opportunity. It's kind of wild down there, because they had such a boom of population, especially with the pandemic.
They did.
The governor down there, Governor DeSantis, said, "Hey, we're going to keep the lights on.
Wide open.
We're going to keep the lights on and moving." And because of that, people really resonated with that message. A lot of people, moved and moved down to Florida. And so it is, with a lot of population, everyone needs housing. There's great opportunity there. But there are some risks too, obviously. We touched on it, right? A hurricane season is a thing. I think it's, would it be September through November, something like that?
Well, you know what? I think for sure I've heard those numbers. Mm-hmm. From September, November. However, global warming is a real thing because we're experiencing 80 degrees here in Chicago, and this is way different for us in September. Okay.
Crazy.
So it is crazy, right? We're 80 degrees, like it's insane. Usually we have jackets on. And so where that used to be true, things are moving across the globe a little differently, Dante, when it comes to weather. And so there has not, I've talked to many people. I got relationships down there in Florida, and they're chilling. Like, the skies are great, right now. There's been some rain because it's tropical. But yeah, people are flying in and out, and there's not been much disruption. And I think at the end of the day, you just have to kind of avoid travel when, hurricane seasons are happening. However, that's not close to the water in terms of Orlando is concerned regarding that. But yeah, so yeah.
No, they so I looked it up. It's June 1st, believe it or not, to November 30th every year is what is deemed as hurricane season.
Yeah.
And they said usually the real danger zone is August through October, which would kind of line up to obviously some of the news stuff. Mm-hmm. So, and then so we have storms that could be an issue. Sure. And then insurance premiums have really spiked due to the hurricanes. Yes. That is also an issue as well, because you have to do this 4-point home inspection for, along with the insurance quotes. Like, you have to have the 4-point inspection. They want to make sure, just where are you proximity to hurricane season? Are you going to be affected? So we've seen spikes, close to $3,000 a year for insurance. So that's expensive.
You know what? And what's so crazy though is, I always say, Dante, there is always opportunity in opposition. Like, for instance, we get so used to where we are and we get so comfortable because it's normal for us, right? And then when something changes, it's like, oh my God, this is not what we're used to. However, in the Chicago metro area, we're used to insurances without hurricane seasons being $25,000 to $3,000 a year. Sure. That is a typical insurance rate. So it's not a culture shock for us, right. Or I shouldn't say, it's not a shock, a financial shock, let's say, to us in regards of insurance. And I think, again, if you're used to a much lower amount of, obviously your bills are, budgeted around certain numbers, but here in Chicago we go from 2,500 to 3,000. I believe what it equates to is, if something is rising over here, that means something else is happening over here. So still that whole supply and demand rule. I would say also in Florida, the opportunity to get in is huge right now.
Sure.
Which is another reason why I got my real estate license there, is the property values are, you're seeing some, I should say, some opportunity in the new construction because they have so much supply, unlike Chicago. So there's a demand for buyers. Right now, there's a buyer's boom, I should say, a buyer's market in Florida because they have a ton of new construction. So you can get great pricing. And I don't want it to sound as if, where, Florida is plummeting. Now, that's not the message.
No.
The message is there's opportunity there. And so when that happens, the insurance may be a little elevated compared to what they're used to, but someone coming into that community, there's an advantage there for you because now you're offsetting, price against, the other variables. So just wanted to be open-minded. That's kind of how I think. I'm like, okay, if one thing is happening, there's always opportunity and opposition. Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, obviously supply and demand. So if you have a boom in population,
Yes.
the demand is going to be high, and that means evaluations can continue to rise.
Yes.
So you can definitely see some opportunities down there. Now, if one is trying to decipher, do I invest in Illinois or do I invest in Florida? What are some key ingredients that would make you kind of choose one state or the other? We normally, and we could dive into, property versus property, but, just from a state versus state, that to some degree should be a first kind of determination. Like, what state do you want to invest in?
Yeah. So
what do you think about that?
Yeah, one of my, if you're new to investing, I'm going to always say, start at home, start at home investing kind of where you're familiar at. Let's just start with the Chicago market. So right now in Chicago, I got some data.
Yeah.
Chicago is, we need properties. So right now, currently, our monthly supply in Chicago is 2.13 supply, months of supply. 2 months, really, so well under 3 months of supply, right? From list to sale in Chicago, and we're talking Chicago metro area, we're at 100%. And what happened is I took all of Chicago, and I pulled the data on the market trend report to support what I'm saying. We're at 100% of our listing price in Chicago. Okay. Wow. Our marketing time, where we stand on the market across Chicago, is 10 days. Okay. Our median sales price is $380,000. That's median. Okay. So
sure.
If you really want to know what your property is worth, we can have that conversation, but that's median, which is a great number, right?
Sure.
This market trend report, the two most important indicators, as you ask, where should I be buying as an investor? Clearly.
Right.
Because there's not a lot of inventory that is on the market currently. Mind you that people within the Chicago metro area, I'm telling you now, they love the bells and whistles, period, right?
Right.
If you were able to purchase a property, that needed a cosmetic facelift, there's a lot of opportunity there. Most people who, whether they're single, or, have a partner or married or children, people are working a lot of hours today in order to put food on the table, right?
Sure.
In order to manage their household expenses and affairs. Well, with that being said, most aren't interested in a project.
Mhm.
If you are the investor and you have that investor mindset along with the support that you can get from working with us, there's opportunity there for you. So when I talk about opportunity, we're going to look at it two ways. Is there an opportunity from a cash flow standpoint? Can I rent
Sure.
this out? Right. And is it way above, I don't want to say way, but it's above the mortgage where it makes sense. But this asset that I currently have, the great news is it continues to appreciate in the Chicago metro area because of these factors, because we have less than 3 months of supply, because a property that hits the market and hits it right, price right, is selling at 100%. And we are still seeing um, multiple offers in the Chicago metro area. And because it's 10 days generally is our marketing time across the Chicago, and just Chicago. I'm not talking metro area. I'm saying Chicago, period. So if there is a suburb that you want to learn about that you may be interested in, picking up or acquiring a property to see if that's suitable for you, I can run that report too. So we'll look at, does it cash flow? And then let's look at what the after repair value is if I go and put some lipstick on this asset. Maybe I'm changing the carpet. Maybe I'm painting. Maybe there needs to be some enhancement of the cabinet. Maybe it's cabinet removal, or we're going to use the existing cabinet and we're going to paint it. We're going to come in with new countertops, new hardware. Okay, it's a facelift. So there are things that same as the bathroom, right? So 3 components: bathroom, kitchen, and then basement. We can kind of dive off into that. But I would say, stick to Chicago, or I don't want to just limit it, and say everybody that's listening is in Chicago. But start in your backyard, get with someone who is savvy in the industry so that they can run the numbers and show you the real data. So this is like real data. This is not Matricia data. This is data that is pulled by our association to bring so that I can educate, and I study the market all the time to help investors make informed, intelligent decisions.
So when we look at rent, if we're looking at a particular area, we're focused on the bedrooms, the bathrooms. The town is going to necessarily dictate, like, okay, I have a 3-bed, 2-bath townhome, and the average rent is X, right? I mean, and so obviously that can sway based on upon the look of the renovations that you're talking about doing. Hey, updating the basement so it can be that little man cave for the spouse. Updating the kitchen, so because that's where we spend most of our time. In the house, we're cooking up a meal of some sort. The bedrooms, where you sleep. So I think is that what you're basically saying? So the average rent in a town is going to be based on obviously the town and just how many bedrooms and bathrooms you have. But, you could potentially get that max number or that peak number, or maybe even a little bit more, depending on how it looks on the inside, the condition of the property.
Yeah. So I would speak to location and I would speak to condition, right? Location, there's, again, opportunity in real estate. You could create value, right? And I just know that from my background of being a real estate appraiser. I love it so much. At the end of the day, it's really about, Dante, it's about the first important thing is, what do you want to do? And why? What is your real big why? Why are you wanting to invest in real estate? Once we establish your why, and this is a strategy call, how much money are you trying? What's your plan? You want to cash flow, or do you want to flip to pay off debt? What's your mantra here? Once we establish that, if it's cash flow, what we do is we're going to deal with what do you want to make? 10,000 a month, 20,000 a month? What is your goal, your monthly goal that we need to be driving towards? Once that is a known factor, then what we do is we back into your actual goal number. And from there, like if we're taking your neighborhood that you're in, we're gonna analyze, okay, what are rents doing in your market area, right? And and why? So I'm able to make that determination. And let's stay on the rent side, as you talked about. What is the enhancement? I think your question is to get the most rent
Sure.
out of this particular asset.
Correct.
Okay, great. Location, and of course, it's going to be desirability. What's on the inside of bedroom counts, right? So the more bedrooms you get, the higher you can actually rent, right? So standard, generally, usually, most of the time, people are looking for a 3-bedroom. They're looking for a 2-car garage, and they're looking for, again, like you said, that man cave. That's pretty on an average what most are looking for. But families that are larger are also, there's a huge market for 4 to 5 bedrooms as well, right? And what does that rent for? So the more you have, the more money that you can actually charge for rents. The great news is about the Chicago metro area is we don't have a cap on what our rents can rent for, right? That is only a standard if you are looking to rent for government funding, such as, a Section 8 voucher holder. There is a cap on the bedroom the bedroom count of what they would pay. However, they pay every single month, right? So that money come into your account every single month. And let me say to you now, Section 8 tenants are amazing. You have to vet them just like you vet anyone else. And I like making sure that I'm guaranteeing my money every single month. I love that. I have no problem with it. So you can get that rent if you're going with the Section 8 voucher holder, if that's the lane you're going to go in. But you also have what you call market rents. So market rents are undefined. Okay, like California, they kind of like govern, their rental game there versus us here. And so it's vastly different. Rents can go from $1,000 to $6,500. Just kind of depends on where you are. And again, that comes from, the beginning and the understanding of that market. It is going to be somewhere around a strategy call to see where you're trying to get to. And then let's look at the asset and how it would actually make sense. But clean is important. The bedroom counts are important. Location is clean, and just making sure it's desirable, not being a slumlord kind of speak. Yeah. And
I appreciate that.
On average, our rents here too in the Chicago metro area, our average rents are anywhere from $2,000 to $2,500 a month. And that's for that 3-bedroom example that I provided to you.
That's awesome. Hey, Matricia, what's your contact information?
Yeah, so Matricia Jackson, my contact information is 708-680-6605. Again, 708-660. Did I just say it wrong? 708-660-6805. You can reach me, and my email address is, as my name is on the screen, at @kw.com. So that's Matricia Jackson at @kw.com. I am excited to, have a conversation with you about your investment goals journey 2026. Let's get in the room before and get started. I'm excited about that.
That's awesome. Let's take care of some housekeeping notes real fast. Yeah. This episode today is sponsored by Epic Mortgage. Whether you're buying, investing, or refinancing, call Epic today, 708-905-5300, 708-905-5300. It's your dreams, your goals. Let's plan together. Now, if you are looking for the blueprint, if you're looking for that step-by-step playbook for turning your mortgage into a wealth building machine, then all you have to do is just buy my book. It's right over there. It's the Ultimate Mortgage Guide. It's available on Amazon. Definitely check it out. I get, when people do read it, they say, man, that's some good information. I poured in 20 years of, knowledge to you. And so hopefully you'll enjoy it as well, and it'll spark your conversations. Now, after the show, I want everyone to go to YouTube. On YouTube, on our channel, Epic Spotlight, we have our most recent Epic Spotlight interview, and that's with Ernest B. Fenton. He's the founder and managing partner of the law offices of Ernest B. Fenton. Ernest B. Fenton has a rapidly growing firm based in Chicago with a focus on civil litigation and estate planning. A Harvard Law graduate with a background in business management. He is an educator, an author, an entrepreneur, and having successfully launched small businesses in both the retail and real estate sector. So please check out the most recent Epic Spotlight podcast with Ernest B. Fenton. And we do have some preferred listings. So let me go over these. We have 1413 East End, Chicago Heights, Illinois. It's a commercial storage. Contact Amico Pope at 312-600-7673. It's going for $165,000. We have a couple condos here. We have 6945 South Dorchester Avenue, Unit 2S, going for $149,000. Contact Evelyn Woods, 773-718-9742. We have 2030 East 72nd Place, Unit 3D. It's a 2-bed, 1-bath. Contact Evelyn Woods again, and that's going for $109,000. 773-718-9742. We have a house, single-family house, 4-bed, 1-bath, going for $250,000. Contact Tamika Bishop. It's at 1605 South 16th Avenue. Contact Tamika Bishop at 630-479-6352. And we have a couple homes in the Florida area. 12673 Simbay Court in Jacksonville, Florida, going for $381,000. It's a 4-bed, 3-bath. Contact Charday Nix, 904-520-8041. And we also have 12707 Simbay Court, Jacksonville. It's still Charday's listing. It's a 4-bed, 3-bath. These are both new construction locations, so definitely great for you to check out. And last but not least, we do have another condo, 548 East 50th Street, Unit 3. It's going for a 3-bed, 2-bath condo. So that's a big condo. Going for $269,900. Contact Jessica Roberson, 708-518-8120. So these are our preferred listings. We can help you get pre-approved on these, and appreciate that. So those are our listings. You can find those on www.danteroyster.com. I will type that into the chat so you guys have that. So if you want to see any more pictures, you can go to danteroyster.com and right there. Now, we do have some questions. Please keep them coming in. If you have questions, any questions that you do have, we'll be happy to answer them, and we'll take it from there. So we have Paula Jenkins. How do you negotiate when a property's numbers don't work?
Yeah, when the property numbers don't work, don't fall in love and be emotional about the property. If they don't work, they don't work. When you say, how do you negotiate it? Your negotiation has to be about the price. Price. So your price, your real scope of work. And Paula, when you say that the numbers don't work, give me an example of what's not working. Like, is this a cash flow deal? Is this a fix and flip? You know, what's happening there?
Yeah, Paula, if you can respond back, that'll help us be able to answer that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think to your point, I think that's what happens sometimes. We fall in love, right? We like the house. Oh, this is going to be perfect. It's right where I want to be, but the numbers just don't work for me. As far as it might be because I can't afford it, or it might be a situation where it's just, if it's an investment property, man, the rent is only $1,500 in that area, but this mortgage is going to be $1,800. Do I want to pay the difference or not? Those are decisions you have to make, and that'll make a difference on the loan that we can offer as well.
1,000%. I hope you come back. I would love to dive into that with you.
All right, we have another question from Richard. You answered this, but this is a good one. Do you recommend investing locally or out of state?
Yeah, so Richard, I highly recommend investing locally. However, if you have the vast knowledge, of an out-of-state opportunity that's broken down, like I shared that I am licensed in Florida, but we also have the opportunity to help people across the globe because I'm in partnership with Keller Williams, so we sell all over. Out of state, if the numbers make sense. If you're a new investor, I'm going to say I recommend that it be a familiar territory that you're familiar with first. But I think the investors that we work with, they invest here and abroad. So it just really just kind of depends on your appetite. But I just would say the most important thing about that is the team that you have for any out-of-state investing outside of you. And what that actual will look like. Is it a community that is a tourist area? Can you get resources that are available for you as far as a property manager, or what might it be? What are you investing in, Richard? What are your thoughts? What's your appetite when you ask me if it's locally or out of state? Hope I answered it.
Yeah, I actually in 2025, I kind of just looked this up real top 10 states, and this is always going to be opinionated, but
Totally.
just top 10 states that they had were Texas, Florida, North Carolina, Arizona, Tennessee, Ohio, Georgia, Indiana, South Carolina, Colorado.
Yes.
For 2025. But it all depends to your point on what's your goal. And I love that you say local, especially if you're a first time investor, because you know what you don't know. You start investing in Cleveland, Ohio.
Right.
You can't see it. You can't.
Yeah.
You don't
You
know
don't
what's
know it.
going on. You have no clue.
Yeah.
You don't know. You're buying a property and you're in danger zone. You're in drug USA.
Yeah. So what you would have to do with that, Dante, is the goal is to get connected with that realtor expert and team there. That's what's most important. That's gonna make sure that you understand where the numbers should be numbering. What is this a cash flow opportunity? If it's a fix and flip, what's coming to the actual city? Huge. That brings about tons of opportunity as well. And again, in relationship with realtors, we have relationships all across the globe. We have people that invest all over, right? Because they've been connected with the right shoe, or I should say the right relationship, to make sure that you don't make bad investments. It should be someone that is actually savvy. So yeah, if I can help you with that, I would love to.
Awesome. Go to the next one here. Should new investors focus more on cash flow or appreciation? That's right up your alley.
That's something like alley. Yeah. So should new investors focus more on cash flow or appreciation? One, I would say when we're looking at a opportunity, we look at cash flow and appreciation. Obviously, your appreciation is your ARV today, but we also go through the data of how the area has been appreciating. The focus, 𝐒𝐿, and I hope I'm saying your name right, is based on what your actual goal is. Do you need cash flow today and keep the asset that is appreciation? I'm going to say that's a good scenario, right? But if something is not cash flowing as much, but it's an appreciation asset, it really is going to depend on what your desired goal is. One of the things I love about the whole game, which is the DSCR product that Dante actually offers, is the asset in certain areas, and I'm going to speak to my area in Chicago, it continues to asset. It's continuing to appreciate. It's continuing to grow. Like in the Chicago metro area, the report that I actually pulled, if you bought a property in Chicago, and this is taking all of Chicago, okay, so I'm not saying every single property, we're talking about on average, you're creating $100,000 per year by holding onto your asset or purchasing an asset, and it's growing at a very great rate. One, because we don't have any inventory. And so when you don't have any inventory, it's about supply and demand. So the question that you had is, should an investor focus more on cash flow or appreciation? That's going to be determined by your actual goal. What do you want to accomplish? I hope I answered that. It's
No,
just
you did. You did. I always say, and we're saying the same thing, it's income and growth. Just like you have two hands, you have your left hand, you have your right hand, and it's income is your monthly paying your bills, and that's your lifestyle. And then you also want to have the mechanism of growth. And growth, it allows you, that's the appreciation, that's where you can 2x, 5x your money. And so the appreciation allows it for it to grow. And that's why you do the renovations. You do the renovations so it can grow
yeah,
and you want to exponentially grow that at a faster clip, because you could sit on a house, not do anything to it, and it's still going to grow, and that's just the beauty of real estate with supply and
that's
demand.
the whole
That's,
goal.
that's
Yeah,
the whole goal. But
mhm,
if you want to accelerate it, man, you turn that 3 bed to a 4 bed, you turn that 1 bath to 2 baths, and now
correct.
you've exponentially are growing at a faster clip. And
Sure,
but it's income and growth. You ideally want to do both, and so I think, to
you
your
do.
point, that's what you're trying to. But you have to solve for whatever issues that you have. I mean,
Yeah, and yeah. Mhm.
go ahead.
You do. You 1,000. You do have to solve for whatever. I think that was what I was trying to say. What are you? What is your X? What are you actually trying to solve? What's the actual goal that you're trying to get to and accomplish? Hmm.
Exactly. All right, let's go to the next question. Appreciate everyone asking all these
Yeah,
questions. Keep them
awesome.
coming. This is so good.
Yeah.
All right. So next one, Brandon. Which is more important, location or numbers?
Hey, Brandon. So, oh, I love you guys' question. Which is more important, location or numbers? I'm going to say numbers is more important because we're talking about the asset, and our numbers will make the determination of what the goal, whether it's cash flow or whether we're looking to fix and flip, hold it long term. I'm going to say the numbers. The numbers are very important because you don't want to get into a transaction and the numbers don't work. So regardless of the location, the numbers matters most, right? We want to make sure that the numbers is getting you to where you actually want to go. That's more important in my opinion.
I was thinking about when you were saying local, and I was thinking in my head, just trying to break that local. What does that mean to me? And it's like we don't we buy neighborhoods.
Oh,
The
oh,
neighborhood makes the difference, and understanding the neighborhood that you're going to be investing in is so important. And so, to me, neighborhood will dictate what the numbers are.
yeah. So I think we almost saying the same thing. We just exactly. So um and then when you said one thing about location, Dante, of kind of knowing what's happening in the area. Um, you do want to know that, but as a factor from an investment standpoint, a lot of people, say for instance, if there is a community and it's going through a regentrification process, right?
Sure.
So that regentrification process, um, it's coming out of the woods per se, right? Well, we know it's coming out of the woods, right? So there's opportunity in every location. But when you're looking at the actual asset, you need to know what the numbers are going to be. And in that regard, you could be getting in kind of at the ground level of this regentrification, ready for a spur in value of acceleration of value. So I'm a numbers girl. I'm a numbers girl. And for me, I'll buy anywhere in Chicago that the numbers make sense, right? Because again, there's opportunity all over. I'm going to look at the asset. I'm going to look at, hey, how much is renting? What is the, how is it accelerating or appreciating in value? I'm going to look at, what's happening in the area as well. So I think both of those components are just very good components, but you want to make sure those numbers are numbering.
Now, let me ask you a question, because this is
Yeah.
something that popped in my head as you talked about that. Municipalities, rules and guidelines,
Mhm.
registering investment properties versus not having to register. Um, how much does that play into making that determination? I mean,
Huge.
because to some degree, that's where, from a location perspective, that might matter. And that's where people choose different states to invest in, right? How quickly can I get rid of this tenant if they decide not to pay my rent,
Yeah.
or how long of the process?
Yeah, so we're talking about rent laws, right? And so when you talk about municipalities, there are some municipalities right here in the Chicago metro area. One is a suburban community, South Holland. South Holland has a moratorium. They are capped at how many rents they want into their village. And so as an investor, location does matter in this sense, because you can't rent or cash flow at this village municipalities. That's the other important factor, that you are working with someone that has your best interests at heart, and the wherewithal and the understanding of what's going on in these villages. So that's that's part of even our strategy when we're working with investors. We're not going to let you buy in an area that you can't rent in if you're looking to cash flow, right? Because
Right.
now you're going to be stuck with that property. So that's a no-no, right? So that's a great example, Dante, as it relates to location. But again, we cover all of that and making sure that you are investing properly. I sit on the government affairs board of Main Street, and one of the things we do is we watch, or work with, I should say, municipality villages along with city ordinances to make sure that this big stack of bill that goes on someone's desk to actually sign doesn't bottleneck, or I should say will not allow real estate to be on a sewing machine type of path. Some people don't know, okay, if we do certain things, it's going to put a hold, a stop. It interrupts everyday business in real estate because they're not knowledgeable about what they're signing. So great, outstanding, Dante's example of some of the villages you do have to be aware of. Do they allow rentals just to begin with, right? So yeah, I think we covered it, and I think both are important. Yeah.
I was on Facebook, I think, maybe a couple of days ago, maybe last week, and
Mhm.
it was a realtor on there, and I think Markham, and
That's another one.
might be
Absolutely.
another one coming. And it was interesting because, from an outsider in, not really, that's not an area I would dive into per se, but yeah, how they were mad. They were like, y'all better be careful because, you know they're ruining their property value by not allowing investors to be able to come in and,
1,000%.
fix up the properties. So what are they getting wrong? What are the municipalities not seeing? I mean, because they're looking at it as, oh, I guess they're looking at it as, hey, we got this slumlord. He's just trying to get paid. He's just going to throw anyone in that property. They're going to, be playing their music at midnight. They're going to be drinking and smoking or whatever outside. Is that where they just elude all renters to be? I mean, because that's not the case. But what do you think?
Yeah, so my perspective on that, Dante, is one, I see that it's truly, in my opinion, I see some discrimination for sure, 1,000%. And the big thing about it is, and when I say discrimination, is everyone should have an opportunity at fair housing. It just should be affordable housing. Um, and but the big problem is who's going to sue the village because of this, right? So that's kind of our talk, within government affairs, and we're working with these villages to say, hey, exactly what you said, sir, madam. The investor is coming in here to help stabilize the value of this actual area, and we're doing so by taking a dilapidated building that isn't, up to code. It isn't fixing up. It's not fixed up. It affects everyone in our actual area, local market. However, I think the mere understanding, not even if a person does not rent, okay, you have people that have purchased a house, and for whatever the reason, it's a husband and wife, maybe some domestic things are going on. Um, that doesn't make a homeowner versus a renter a homeowner more better than a renter, because there's people, and I think we've all been there. I know I don't know about you guys, but I've rented before I purchased.
So have I.
And you know what I mean? And so can you just imagine, um, you need a basis to actually get started. And in certain areas, rents are cheaper than a mortgage for some areas. It just kind of depends. And if you're not being fair and opening, and it all comes down to fair housing, in my opinion, I think that they're not understanding how it is congesting their village and their values, as well. And there's Markham is one of them. Markham has a moratorium, and so does Country Club Hills, that you cannot rent, in that municipality. However, there's a voice, and being part of government affairs voice, we are working with these municipalities to help them understand the moratorium doesn't help the landscape. Like, what is your rhyme or real reason, of not allowing rentals? And there are, caps of how many rentals, some of the municipalities have capped off and say, hey, we're only going to have this many. But yeah, it's a big issue.
It really is. No, it is. I mean, and I know, even Atlanta, Georgia, we're having those same issues with short-term rentals and the condos, and they did a moratorium, and it's a really, to some degree, a lack of understanding. It's a lack of understanding.
1000%.
You're just trying to make money, but it's like, well, yes, I am going to make money, but how do I make money?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm taking the risk,
Totally.
but it's a good point. All right, let's finish up some of these questions.
Yeah, I love it. Bring the question. Do you think? Go ahead.
Yeah. Do you think 2025 will favor buyers or sellers in real estate?
Yeah. So right now it depends on the area that you're in, David. Do you think 2025 will favor buyers or sellers in real estate? It depends on what area you're in. If you shoot me an area or you connect with me, I could tell you that by pulling the data. Again, I'm here in Chicago, and our data is saying to us that we are a seller's market right now.
Yeah, it really is it's an interesting year. I mean, because the pendulum is shifting, or it feels shifted, and everyone wants to go one side or the other, and it's like, we're watching it slowly change, but it's not 100% one way or the other. But it definitely was, 2024 was 100%, seller's market, and you've seen the pendulum shift just a little bit, but it's still, for the most part, it's still a seller's market indeed, in my opinion.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll go to the next one. A venture show. Which metric do you trust most before buying a rental?
Adventures. Which metric do you trust more before buying a rental? Yeah. So the matrix that I'm going to look at is how much is the asset? Very important on the purchase price, right? Once I know how much is the property, what would the interest rate be? What are the terms of if you're using a loan? Okay, so if you're using cash, that's different, right? Because you're gonna cash flow better, right? So the difference between, are you gonna pay cash for the asset property, or you're gonna get a loan? Okay. The next thing I would say is, what could it actually rent for? Would be my matrix that I'm going to use to make a determination. And of course, inside of that, what's the desirability? What are the amenities of a home? Is it a 3-bedroom? Is it a 2-bedroom? Because again, in most cases, that governs what the rents are in that market area. And you don't have to always go with the market area. I would say that, for one, I'm sitting in a short-term rental of mine, Airbnb, and there was no market for this Airbnb adventures. And I knew, because there was no market, I said, well, I know for a fact that I have put in a lot of sweat, money into this property, and it's desirable. And we have people that come from all over the world that stays here, and we've never not had a problem with anyone trashing our property. Thank God. One, because we deliver it, but also because in determining that market rent, I went above what others would probably market theirs for, because I felt, and I was able to substantiate um, that I could charge more, because I knew my property was better in terms of the condition, brand new floors, new plumbing, new electric, granite, or I should say quartz countertops. I did some high end finishes in the bathroom, etc. It's 5 bedroom. We finished the basement. And so in that regards, if you know that you have, and again, I'm not saying spend a ton of money in order to hold, at your asset. You can go clean, all white walls versus different color walls, clean subway tiles. Some people like it, some people don't, if that is, something that you're going to do. But I would say those are my matrix. Make it clean, look at what it can rent for, look at the purchase price, and are you going to get a loan, or are you going to use cash? Those would be my matrix. Yeah, would love to dive deeper in with you on some numbers or property that we could be looking at anytime.
Yeah, so some people like to use, basically like a cap rate. Cap rate is taking
Mhm.
the annual.
Yeah.
You'll take the annual rent and you'll
Mhm.
minus out the expenses
Expenses, yeah.
and divide it out by the purchase price. That the cap rate, in my opinion, doesn't do a great job per se in
Totally.
developing a good deal or not, because it's not factoring in mortgage payments and other financing.
Yeah. What utilities would you pay? Here's a good one, guys. I love this. So, if I was a new investor, adventurous, and we're talking about rental, if I was a new investor, right, and even not even just being new, right, because I'll do it now 1,000 times. Um, and you do have to check to see if rentals are available. But your condos and townhouses is is a good bet, right? So I own a condo. I rent the condo out. I don't pay lights, gas, heat, or water. I do pay an HOA of about $300. I'm able to rent that unit out at $1,700, right? The mortgage on it is $600. So, 600 for the mortgage, 300 for the HOA is $900. Maintenance free. I'm cash flowing at that. And that's with taxes, taxes and insurance, I'm cash flowing at about $900 a month. And I like that. Ideally, one, what we would need to check if we're pursuing condos or townhomes, do they allow rentals? That's the first thing, right? And if they do, does these numbers work that we can kind of like dive into? How much can I get for rents there? It's a 2 bedroom, 1 bathroom condo with a balcony. But maintenance free rent, I don't have to worry about cutting the grass, snow removal, mulch, any of that. So that's a good gateway that I would say that one could get started and really kind of relax. Those
Yeah.
other variables that Dante was talking about.
All right, let's wrap up with two more. We got two more questions came in. Jennifer, what's the first thing you analyze when you find a new deal?
Oh yeah. So the first thing that I analyze when I find a deal is the purchase price. Okay, so how much can I, how much can I get this property for, right?
Mhm.
Two, does it need any work? So scope. Then um and when you say analyzing, I'm going to go with the cash flow, and if it's a fix or flip, how much can I rent it out for? And I'm looking at these numbers regardless if I'm going to fast cash flow or if I'm thinking about fixing and flipping, right? And then I'm going to look at the ARV, the after repair value, meaning what I had to do to this property in order to get it to a value. You can actually get a property over the hump to get a great value by looking at what the area is selling for. So what is a three? Let's use that as an average, 3 bedrooms. What is it selling for in this particular market? So whatever area you in, what is it selling for? When you do that, what is happening inside of their property? Is the kitchen updated? Is the bathroom updated? Is the basement finished or not finished? Does it have a garage or space for a garage? So then these are some improvements that could actually be made to get to the ARV. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to analyze, hey, how much can I get the property for? How much I can rent it for? And what is the resale on that actual property? Would love to dive in, Jennifer, more if you're looking at something or you're ready to get started. Thank you.
Awesome. And last one, how do you know when a cap rate is too low to invest?
Oh, that's a good one, Brett. So you know what? And again, okay, let me just say that how do you know when a cap rate is too low to invest, right? Now, this is crazy, Bradley. Now, I'm not going to take this risk. You got some investors, they have what you call negative cash flow. And they entered into that property as negative cash flow because the property appreciates at a rapid rate, right? So they know if they're, and beyond the appreciation, let's talk about really quickly, what else would the asset do for you? Tax perspective, lowering your tax rate, or, having that asset for write-offs. It's more than just cash flow and appreciation. Owning assets, that's why the wealthier continue to stay wealthy, and because they have this asset that's doing more than 1, 2, 3, or 4 things for them. So to your point, when a cap rate is too low, it really depends on the goal. And that's the beauty of it. And I'm going to just say real estate investing is an art. Art is how you can draw, can you sing, can you play music, how many instruments. It's a camera, lenses, it's videography, it's photography. That's the way I look at real estate. So to answer your question is, for me, I want to at least cash flow $500 a door. That's a safe number for me. And I try not to even get to that number. I always want to be above it, but at the very minimum, $500 a door after expenses, all expenses, right? But again, people get into a negative cash flow situation because they know, hey, it may not cash flow, but I'm looking at the trend. I'm looking at maybe a hospital is coming to this community. Transportation is coming to this community. A new college or a new library or something major is coming. And so it just kind of depends, Bradley. And I hope I answered your question.
No, that's awesome. You were great, Matricia. This has been fun. We're getting a lot of love here. People are showing a lot of love. We had a
thank you, Roy. I appreciate you.
Yeah. I mean, we did our thing. Over 400 people were listening to us today. So that's super cool. So Matricia, please give out your information and let everybody know about your event that's coming up.
Yes. So again, I'm Matricia Jackson, and my event that's coming up is October the 16th through the 18th here in Chicago. Much more deeper dives of kind of what we talked about today, but really, I'm going to say wrapping it up in a bowl for you to really get started in investing and to scale. It's happening October the 16th through the 18th here in Chicago. I would love to get you guys out. I know Roy is going to send out information to you guys on it, the 16th through the 18th. And then to get in touch with me, if you don't mind, 708-680-6605, 680-6605. I'm going to say it again, 708-680-6605. 605. I am so thrilled that I was on and just excited about this, Dante. I appreciate you having me. This was awesome.
No,
awesome.
we got, no, we definitely have to have you back on a regular, because this is what we're here for. I mean, we're talking about buying assets.
Welcome, Brandon.
Yeah, we are talking about buying assets. We're talking about helping people in the financing, in the real estate game. I'm just pleasured to know Matricia, and we connected, and we've done some business together. So it definitely works, and and this is great. So I want everyone, if you can make it to her event, make sure you go to the event. As soon as she gives me the information, I will put it on my newsletter. So all you have to do is go to www.danteroyster.com. I'll put you on the newsletter. It comes out every Friday, once a week, and you'll be able to, and the information will be there until the event is complete. We are done for the week, ladies and gentlemen. So we're making a little transition. We are Monday through Wednesday. Now I say that, and then the next 2 Thursdays I will be back. But this week I'm done. We will have a new Epic Spotlight interview coming out tomorrow. So make sure you check that out. Also check out Ernest B. Fenton's Spotlight on the YouTube channel, Epic Spotlight. And then we'll be back better than ever on Monday with our new guests. We'll have a new guest, John Andrade, will be with me. And I'm sure Vince, the Italian Stallion, he'll be with me as well. So it will be a great day. Thank you, everybody. Have a great week. And thank you so much, Matricia. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. Thank you, everybody. I hope to see you soon. Take care. And and congratulations on your next investment journey. Take care. See you soon.
Take care.